Welcome to my channel. Today we uncover the mystery of the L-8 ghost blimp. Let's get into it. The L-8 ghost blimp incident of 1942 remains one of the most bizarre and unexplained mysteries of World War II. It all began on August 16, 1942, when the U.S. Navy's L-8, a blimp used for anti-submarine patrols, took off from Treasure Island in San Francisco Bay. The airship was manned by two experienced officers, Lieutenant Ernest Cody and Ensign Charles Adams, both trained for their mission of scouting for enemy submarines along the California coast. The L-8 was part of a routine patrol, expected to return after a few hours, but what unfolded has puzzled historians, aviation experts, and investigators for decades. Initially, everything seemed normal. At 6:03 a.m., the blimp lifted off without issue, and at 7:50 a.m., Cody radioed a routine message confirming that they had spotted an oil slick on the ocean's surface near the Farallon Islands. This was standard procedure, as oil slicks could indicate the presence of a submerged submarine. Shortly after, the crew sent another message stating they were going to investigate. That was the last transmission ever received from L-8. As time passed with no further communication, concerns grew. The blimp should have checked in regularly, but there was silence. By mid-morning, civilian witnesses along the California coast reported seeing the L-8 behaving strangely. It was floating erratically, seemingly out of control, and drifting inland. Around 11 o'clock a.m., it descended over Daly City, California, striking telephone poles and rooftops before finally coming to rest in the middle of a residential street. Local residents and emergency responders rushed to the scene, expecting to find a crew in distress or at least some explanation for the blimp's odd flight pattern. What they found instead was an empty gondola. There was no trace of Lieutenant Cody or Ensign Adams. Their parachutes, lifeboat, and emergency gear were still on board. The radio was functioning. The engines were in working order, and the control mechanism seemed operational. There was no sign of struggle, no damage suggesting an attack, and nothing to indicate what had happened to the two men. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. The U.S. Navy immediately launched an investigation, but no concrete answers ever emerged. One of the first theories suggested that the two men had somehow fallen out of the blimp while inspecting the oil slick. However, this was deemed unlikely because blimp crews were always secured with safety harnesses when leaning out of the gondola. The cabin door was open when the blimp was found, but that alone didn't explain how both men could have disappeared simultaneously without calling for help. Another theory suggested a mechanical issue or a sudden drop in altitude might have forced them to abandon ship. But again, there was no evidence to support this. The blimp was found intact, meaning there was no catastrophic failure. The fact that no distress call was made also raised questions. If something had gone wrong, why hadn't they reported it? Speculation of enemy involvement surfaced, given that World War II was ongoing, and the U.S. West Coast was on high alert for Japanese submarines. Some wondered if the crew had been captured or attacked mid-air, but there was no damage to the blimp indicating gunfire or sabotage. No enemy forces claimed responsibility, and no submarines were reported in the area that day. Some theories delved into the more unusual, suggesting freak weather phenomena, sudden decompression, or even something more mysterious. The ghost blimp, as it came to be known, became the subject of numerous conspiracy theories, including extraterrestrial abduction, time warps, or unknown aerial forces. While these ideas are largely speculative, the complete lack of evidence regarding the fate of the crew has fueled decades of speculation. One aspect that made the case even stranger was the way the blimp landed. If there had been a violent event or catastrophic failure, the L-8 would likely have crashed rather than slowly drifting inland. Its controlled descent suggested that, whatever happened to the crew, the airship continued flying on autopilot until it eventually deflated enough to land. In the aftermath, the U.S. Navy continued searching for Cody and Adams, but no bodies were ever recovered. They were declared missing and later presumed dead. The L-8 itself was repaired and continued serving in the Navy for years, but its legacy was forever tied to the unsolved mystery of its missing crew. Over the decades, the L-8 ghost blimp incident has remained one of aviation's great enigmas. Unlike many disappearances, where wreckage is never found, in this case the aircraft itself was recovered, but with no sign of the people who had been piloting it. This absence of evidence has made it one of the most enduring mysteries of wartime aviation, leaving more questions than answers. Despite numerous investigations and theories, the disappearance of Lieutenant Ernest Cody and Ensign Charles Adams remains unexplained to this day. The L8's empty gondola continues to spark curiosity and debate, making it one of the most baffling and eerie incidents in aviation history. Thanks for watching.